If the roar of the crowd gives you goosebumps, catching a slip makes you grin, and above all, you love making your bookie cry, then you're in the right place. The #1 spot for premier betting advice and wild opinions, shared with a fan base like no other. Welcome home. This is the Punch List MMA Podcast.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We're here. It is Tuesday night. It is June 6th, 2023, the year of our Lord. And I got some watermelon. First watermelon of the season. It's dynamite. It is watermelon season. So get after it. I'm going to eat this last bite. It's the last time you hear me eat in your ear. And then we're going to get after it. So first and foremost, I have to apologize right off the rip. Because Sunday, I spent the day fishing with my kids, which was good, right? It was good time. We went out fishing. Sunday was Marvin Heemeyer Day, and we missed it. We missed Marvin Heemeyer Day, so I owe you all an apology. And if you're wondering who my man Marvin Heemeyer is, let me remind you, he is was a small business owner. He was a welder and a mechanic, and he was a reasonable man who was forced to do unreasonable things. And if you're still not sure who I'm talking about the owner, operator, and creator of the Killdozer, my man Marvin Heemeyer. If you're not familiar with the Killdozer, you're in the right place or you're in the really wrong place. If you're either about to go to school or about to lose you entirely. So very, very 10,000 foot cursory view to the Killdozer. My man Marvin was caught up in a land lawsuit back and forth with the county that he lived in Colorado, I believe, Jake. I believe this was a Colorado thing. And basically one of those eminent domain style situations where, if you guys aren't aware, just Daddy Dale plug, just sit down. Let me tell you how the world works. If you don't pay your taxes on property that you own and you don't do that long enough, somebody else can come and buy it. And all they have to do is, at least in the state of South Carolina, they have to pay the back taxes, and then you can't come and claim the land for another year afterwards. So Jake owes $6,000 in back taxes. It goes up on a county land sale. I buy it. I pay the $6,000. And as long as Jake doesn't show up in the next year and claim the land and pay the taxes back, and I get my money back, then I get that, which oftentimes you can get a steal, literally, of land or property or whatever, just for pennies on the dollar. It is 100% worth doing and looking at. I look every year around my area. You just often get outbid by land acquisition companies and stuff. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Martin was in one of these things where he was going to buy a piece of property, and the county basically bypassed, we'll go with that, all of these necessary things, and awarded the land back, or the property back, to the original owner, even though by rule of law, my man Marvin had it dead to rights. It should have been his. So he sues. It takes years, and then he ultimately loses it. Well, in the meantime, he goes and he either had or acquired one of the big old Komatsu commercial bulldozers, and he welded, I think, was it 3/4 inch or inch thick steel the whole way around it, and basically turned it into a tank, and then took it right down Main Street of the town that he lived in Granby, Colorado, and did about $13 million worth of damage, destroying buildings, cars, everything in between. And then ultimately, the SWAT team converged on the Killdozer. And did he kill himself? Jake, he killed himself, did he not? He killed himself before the SWAT team got in there. I think there's stuff out there saying that he didn't kill himself and the SWAT team killed him, but that would be incorrect. He killed himself. And we know this because he left a bunch of audio tapes on why he was going to do it, what he was going to do, and how it was going to end. So that did happen. All right. So Killdozer Day was on Sunday. We missed that. So there you go. Yep. Got stuck, blocked in by an excavator, and killed himself when it was all done. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy story. Maybe one day. We'll see. I don't know how to drive a bulldozer. I'm not a big heavy machinery guy. Adam says, "What's up, Dale? We're back in Canada finally." Yes. Listen, you're absolutely right. What was this, 6 months ago? I declared Canada dead. I think it was right around Christmas. I said Canada was dead. The UFC's never going back. Mostly because of Koof in the vax, if you will. But here we are, man. It's going down. So either everybody got exemptions, or that everybody that's fighting on this card got the clot shot. You can deduce from this whatever you want. Although I will say this, your medical history is your private medical history and between you and your doctor. All right. So we had Killdozer Day on Sunday. And then what was yesterday? Jake, yesterday was a day of importance, was it not? What was 6-5? Nothing? Nothing. Well, 6-6 is important. We know that. Those of you who are unaware, I speak this because I hope you guys are aware, but if not, hopefully this will be the thing that schools you to it, right? Today's the anniversary of D-Day, and it's a day that we take serious in my house. Jake, I know it's a day that you take very seriously, at least in the sense that it's a day of remembrance. It wouldn't be a day we didn't stop, pause, and reflect on sacrifices made by those by those guys that day and the days preceding and the ones after. Okay. I'm not going to get bogged down on soppy war stories. Watch Band of Brothers if you want to. That's on you. You should. It's good anyway. Jake, are you a Band of Brothers or a Pacific guy? Because Band of Brothers is more... You like Pacific? Nah, he's like, it's going back and forth. Yeah. On this day in June 5th, 1981, the first cases of AIDS are reported, and 1978, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. Yeah. So here's a conspiracy for you. We'll just get right into it. We already talked about the Koof once, so let's talk about the gremlin himself, the little master craftsman, Tony Fauci. That guy worked at Merck, MERCK, and it is rumored that Mr. Fauci brought AIDS to the United States and introduced it willingly, unwillingly into the population as a form of what they thought was going to be at the time a culling of the homosexual population, just in time for Pride Month. Geez, we're just really just tying all these threads together, aren't we, Jake? Just really bring them all together. So there is an audio recording that exists. I don't have it here because I wasn't planning on getting here, but we'll see if we can't link it in the show notes. There is an audio tape of Fauci talking where he was illegally recorded, where he's talking about bringing AIDS to the United States. Now, whether or not this is true, I don't know. This was before my time, and I have no way of verifying. I'm not an audio video expert, as you guys tell me all the time, especially when it comes to talking about the moon landing. I don't know if it's real or not. Maybe it is. I don't know, but it's interesting. It is interesting. So, and then we talk about today being D-Day. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to give you guys my five high confidence bets for UFC 289. Now, for the last 2+ years, I've been breaking down every single fight, every card, in and out. Full disclosure, that was way easier and a lot more fun when there were two people on the screen. And that's just not the case. And we're at a year of that happening. And so it is what it is, right? So I'm just like I said when we had Johnny on last week, bro. There's people that are sharper out there than me when it comes to betting. Now I'm smarter than all these buffoons combined. I mean, I'll go test for test, circle for circle on an IQ test with any of these dudes. Although I did see somebody on the MMA Tweeter sphere just graduated law school, but I mean, we all know they're curbing those grades now. Anyway, so maybe he's not very smart. We don't know. But I'll put myself up there with anybody. So I'm gonna give you my 5 best bets for each event. Ones that I have high confidence in, ones that I feel better about than others, and that's going to kind of be the extent. Well, obviously, everything's going to stay focused around MMA, but I'm not breaking down every fight anymore. I'm just not going to do it. There's people that are better at it than me. If you want to drop your stuff in the chat, we'll obviously share it. I'll read it out loud so the audio people get it as well. If I'm always willing to talk about the fights, I'm just not going to come into this every time with 15 breakdowns ready to rock and roll. That just ain't it. So, Jake, if you give us first best bet of the evening, that's going to be that Blake Builder money line. Blake Builder coming in as Bad Daddy at 8-0. Taking on, I mean, if we're just going to be honest here, taking on Kyle Nelson, who Kyle Nelson is on this card because he's Canadian, and that's it. Kyle Nelson talks big game every time. I think there was like a point in time in our lives where Kyle Nelson put on a performance against somebody that we were like, yo, this dude might have it. Like he might be like I don't know, like a poor man's grinder, blood and guts kind of deal. But that's just really not it. I look back through, I watched everything. I don't really know where I've ever felt like Kyle Nelson was that dude before, right? I really don't. I don't know where that came from. I think I was on him against Jai Herbert because Jai Herbert just sneezes too hard and he goes to sleep. I think I was on him there. And then Polo Reyes, I believe I was on him there, and he beat Polo Reyes. So maybe that reaffirmed it. But all the same, doesn't matter. He's going up against a undefeated monster in Blake Builder. And Blake Builder hits like a truck, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And just truth be told, this is a showcase spot for him. They did not give Kyle Nelson any favors here by letting him fight out the extent of his contract. He's coming off 2 straight losses. He's lost like 5 out of his last 6. Saying it, Blake Builder is going to sleep him in one way or another in front of his friends and family. Like you're going to hear Kyle Moms Nelson screaming in section 102 row C because her baby's going to sleep. Like that's a thing that's going to happen. So Blake Builder minus 235. Yes, Dale, that's super juicy, but we're not about that. We're talking about things where high confidence. Blake Builder money line is a high confidence play here, and one that you should feel relatively rest assured is a set it and forget it as far as parlay pieces go. One of the things that when I talk about not doing anybody any favors, Jake, I don't know if you saw this today or not, but Chris Weidman is coming back after the horrific leg break against Uriah Hall. What was that, like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago? He's coming back and he's going to fight again. Now, he posted a clip of him on Twitter, and full disclosure, it is 4 seconds long. He just says, "Guess who's back?" He does like a little shadow combination, and then I think a kick. I think he throws a kick. I've been around people with TBI, like that have had TBIs, and heavy concussions, and like I'll just go ahead and say, we'll just go ahead and lean. We're just going to lean into this one. So I met Matt Hughes a couple years ago. Now, Matt Hughes has been hit by a train, literally was hit by a train. Okay. Now, if you haven't seen Matt recently, he got hit by a train. So he's got a little bit of the stuff wrong with him. Like the brain doesn't work all the way together. It damn near killed him. Now, how he got hit by a train is a mystery to me because you kind of know where they're going to be because, they're on a track. So it takes a certain type of special to get hit by a train. Anyway, my man got crushed. The TBI is real, and he's he's a little shaky, and he walks like with the 1 foot, you know, the kickstart, the dirt bike. He's got that going on. Look, all I'm saying is Chris Weidman posted that video, and I thought it was Matt Hughes. Now I'm not saying I'm not saying that Chris Weidman got hit by a train, but if you guys don't remember, Chris Weidman was getting the shit kicked out of him for a couple years prior to the leg break, getting knocked out, getting hit real hard. Vitor Belfort, prior to the Weidman reversing tables on him, damn near decapitated him. He's there. A lot has happened to Chris. A lot has happened to Chris's brain, and he's also had a couple neck surgeries as well. And he's coming off a huge layoff, and the dude should have retired to begin with. Anyway, 10,000 words where 100 will do. He reminded me of like a super banged up TBI, like full time issue here. He reminded me of Matt Hughes. I think it's unhealthy. I think this is going to be a really bad. Not that Brad Tavares is like a Polynesian Mack truck, but Brad Tavares isn't a slouch. And yeah, he doesn't have like one punch go to sleep power, but I don't think you need it against a guy like Chris Weidman. They're going to let Chris Weidman fight in Boston, and it's going to be really bad. Like, this is a bad look for the sport. I feel like we're going to walk away from this going, who sanctioned that? This is bad. I'm throwing it out there. Throwing it out there. And to tie this back into betting yet again, Brad Tavares obviously is going to be a max play. And those of you, because some know it and some don't, with all the people that are doing betting breakdowns and all this stuff that are out there now, a lot of people wonder how guys like Ian Parker, right? Shout out Ian Parker. A lot of people wonder how Ian Parker, like, who and how and what, because he's pretty hit and miss, and he loves to play super juiced up parlays. But Ian Parker Ian Parker was Chris Weidman's manager and managed quite a few fighters way back in the day. And I'm not talking like Chris Weidman when he got knocked out by Jacare manager. I'm talking about Chris Weidman beating Anderson Silva manager. Like, the dude's been around for a long. He's been big in the fight game, which obviously that got him his. That helped open the doors for a lot of things. And him and Anik were neighbors, or very close neighbors. So the fight game continues to run together. And then obviously Kenny Florian and everybody over at ESPN, and Anik obviously worked for ESPN and all this other stuff, dude. It's just a who you know kind of thing. But just anyway, to tie it all back together, because people listen to Ian Parker and they're like, where the hell did this guy come from? That's where he came from. So now you know. It's the more you know. So Chris Weidman, we're going to fade big time in Boston. And yeah, it's all bad news. All right, Jake, give us best bet number 2. For 3 years, you guys have heard me fade Beneil Dariush. Now, I'm going to allow some wiggle room here. Obviously, I don't expect you to tail me blindly, but let's go into the idea of superstition here as well, because it's something I've been wanting to talk about anyway. I have bet against Beneil Dariush for time immemorial. I've never been sold on him. I've always thought that he shows up, he's really sloppy, and yeah, the Jits background is what it is, but I've always been admittedly, I mean, the tape, the receipts exist. I've been a Beneil Dariush hater for as long as anybody's been a Beneil Dariush hater. But if there's one form of hatred that we'll go with, not on hate, but lack better way to put it. If there's a fighter that I've doubted more than I've doubted Beneil Dariush and for longer, it's Charles Oliveira. I continually fade Chucky Olives. I know that we initially the rapport was the gas tank was bad. He didn't have any heart. He didn't have any grit. But he's kind of turned it around, man. A lot of people, are really singing his praises. He's really turned into like a certified star the last 3-4 years. So we got to give him his due here. Oh my gosh, I didn't know this. Damn it. I did not know this. Is this true? It's not his first kid, though, right? It's not his first kid. He has kids. It's first kids that we're worried about. It's firstborns. Man, I hope that's not his firstborn, and we're gonna flip this whole thing. Damn it! I hope that's not the case. We'll have to figure it out. Second kid. All right, cool. We're good. No, we're riding. Beneil Dariush, money line minus 145. The one thing that Charles has not seemed to ever figure out, at least he hasn't figured out yet. Maybe he's continuing to get better. I don't know. But the one thing that he has not figured out yet is how not to get hit. He gets hit every fight. Like we talk about, like not quite to the level of Julian Erosa, but we do say like he's going to get hit. He has to survive the storm. Whenever the storm gets there, he has to wade through it. Now, to his credit, more often than not in the last 5 years or so, he has been riding that storm and coming out on top. Beneil Dariush, on the other hand, yeah, he got rocked by Drakkar Klose, but he's literally, despite being a little bit older, looks like he's getting better each and every fight. Cardio doesn't seem to be an issue with him. And I think the Jits game of Oliveira will probably cancel out. Now, I know the BJJ nerds will get in the weeds here about the difference between, Jits with a gi on versus no gi and the application of both in terms of, MMA and things of that nature. And obviously Charles Oliveira having the most submissions all time. You're going to say, well, that's probably the guy we should listen to when it comes to talking about that kind of stuff. And it is. It certainly is. But I think that the foreknowledge of gi or no gi with Beneil Dariush will kind of even that out. So we worry about the knees to the body upon entry because Beneil does like to clash in, much like we saw with the Poirier fight. Anytime he got distance, he would almost eat a shot. He would crowd a hook, kind of take it a little bit, and then tie plumb and start throwing knees up the middle. Very real thing with Beneil Dariush that will be available to him there. Dariush has to get the jab going, and obviously he's got the missile for the right hand. So that being said, with the jiu-jitsu game essentially being canceled out, I'm going to take the guy with one punch knockout power. That's Beneil Dariush. I like that money line there at minus 145. Now, superstition aside, leaning into superstition rather, I have never bet on Beneil Dariush before, and he consistently beats me. I am now going to bet Beneil Dariush. So, if you're a superstition guy or girl, not that there's girls here, but if you're that, this is your opportunity. Read the tea leaves however you want here and go from there. So, read the tea leaves. Oh, gosh, where the hell? Where did I come up with that? I mean, I know I didn't come up with reading tea leaves. What the hell, Jake? Unbelievable. What do you think? What do you think's more nonsensical? I'm interested to know. What do you think would be more nonsensical? Like the people that threw the bones down? Like, oh, let's see what the bones look like. And they throw the bones down? Or the people that do tea leaves? Like, both of those are like, here we get this. We're shitting on other people's beliefs here. Both of those are the silliest. Dude, they're so silly. They're so silly. And it's so open to interpretation. I also like what was it the Greeks did? They would like go and steal pretty girls from, not steal, but they would acquire, the elders would acquire pretty girls from the villages, and then they keep them up all hopped up on hallucinogens and all kinds of stuff, keep them high all the time and use them for oracles. So it's in the bones for memes, but never tea leaves. Yeah, tea leaves are a thing too. Shout out to anybody who's ever dated a girl that drives a Nissan. Those are the people that are going to be very familiar with tea leaves, chakras, energies, and horoscopes. That's for you guys. So, although I have no firsthand experience with that, as I've been married for coming up on 2 decades now, but enough of you degenerate friends of mine have are on like your second, third, and fourth wife or variant thereof, and I've heard all your stories, and an astute studier of people, and I see what kind of people get out of those cars, and definitely the shocker, folks. Energies, vibrations. Whole world's vibrating, Dale. All you got to do is just tap into the right frequency, and everything opens up for you. Everything opens up. Speaking of open up, let's open up that third best bet, Jake. Eric Anders, money line, plus 130. What? First of all, first time ever I think we've been able on the show just go ahead and say Eric Anders without somebody going Anders. Thankfully. And if you know somebody that says Anders, love them enough to tell them that they're wrong there. It's Eric Anders. I've been on the Eric Anders 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing for a while now. Marc-Andre Barrios still has some tread left on the tires, but he's a brawler. He's a brawler that's going to try to mix in some wrestling, maybe. I don't know what he offers Eric Anders here. I feel like Eric literally has him matched or better everywhere, with the exception of proper hand position when punching, because Anders throws everything low. Everything's real down low, but it's mostly because he's built like he's holding on to stuff all the time. Barrios nice and tight and in the pocket, but he's so hittable, and Eric Anders hits hard. He's not. I don't see him really doing much takedown wise here. And I would imagine when this fight got announced, if you were on the Barrios side, you thought in your brain that line was going to open wider. You're like, oh man, I'd love to play power bar here, but I don't know if I'm going to get the number I like. So you should be salivating at this. The fact this line isn't wider should have you nervous. Well, the reason why that is because Eric Anders has better strength of competition. He's as physically strong, if not more physically strong. And he basically cancels out Marc-Andre everywhere. So I'm on Eric Anders' money line here. Now, this is a plus money play. So unit management is key. Mind your P's and Q's. And, just manage accordingly here. But I'm on Eric Anders' money line. All right. So we talked about Chris Weidman coming back. We talked about superstitions. I want to talk to you about something real quick. Jake, did you see UFC Salt Lake City got announced, and it is going to be the rematch between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje? Now, why this gets spicier and why we're going to talk about it right now is that Dana White said the BMF belt will be on the line, which we were told by Dana White, who always tells the truth, we were told was going to be a one-off thing. They were doing it one time for Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, which nobody really understood why those two would have been chosen for that to begin with, but it is what it is, right? The BMF's getting dusted off, or they're creating a new one, right? For Gaethje and Poirier. Probably more succinct as far as who you had in mind whenever the idea of a BMF belt was being tossed around. That's probably who you were thinking of, one of those two. People are upset by this. The purists, if you will, the purists of our sport are upset. They don't like gimmicks. Cheapens the sport, right? I don't like gimmicks. I don't want anything to do with these gimmicky fights. BMF stupid. Just have them fight for a real thing. Make more weight classes. I've said all of these things. But here's the truth of it. This is what's going to hurt you, right? In your brown eye. This is what hurts. We aren't a serious sport yet. We're just not. There's no governing body over the entirety of all the leagues. We have state athletic commissions that oversee events, but there's no continuity. There's no continuity of product. There's no continuity of competition, and there's no continuity of quality. So you don't have anything owed to you, and this is a promotion, and the fighters are employees. So as much as we would love to masquerade at times like this is a legitimate sport, in the practice of it, maybe, but in the regulation of it, in the oversight of it, it's not. So you can make gimmicky stuff. Now, That being said, lean into the gimmicky stuff. I think we should lean all the way into it. And I know there's like the jokes about we should have a steroid league, like let everybody juice up till their heart's going to explode and then let them fight to the death. There's a time and place for that. I'm sure power slaps a thing. So yeah, I'm sure we can do that at some point. But the truth of the matter is this, is that fighting is as primitive of a competition as ever was. From the very beginning, right? Dude, the first time anybody had a disagreement in the Bible, they killed him with a rock. That's the first time. Like literally fighting has existed from the very beginning. People were like, I don't like this. We have a difference of opinions. We should settle this with violence. Sweet. Let's do that. And then supposedly if I win, that means I'm right and you're wrong. Yep. Have you ever, dude, did you see The Last Duel? Did you see The Last Duel with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck? I had to look this up because I didn't believe it was a real thing, but it's a real thing. It used to be in ancient medieval Europe, in this instance, France. What would happen is you could legitimately trial by combat, and supposedly God would decide somebody's guilt or innocence based on whether or not they won the fight. Bro, I thought trial by combat, and this, as a history person, this bummed me out. I feel like maybe I knew it and then I didn't. I thought like trial by combat was just like a meme Game of Thrones kind of thing, right? Like I demand trial by combat. I really just thought it was like something for the movies. I really didn't think it was like a real implicated practice, but it was. It was. So anyway, I say all that to say that fighting has been like this from the very beginning. It's always been a gimmick. It's always been a gimmick. Hell, half the fights you saw in high school and college and all this other stuff was one little guy getting mad and wanting to fight a big guy, despite of various skill sets or this, that, and the other, or two big dudes deciding who's going to be the most bad, and then they just go after it. But the whole thing that sells it is the conflict. The conflict is what sells it. Weight classes be damned, skill levels be damned. It's the conflict that sells it. So you have two people that want to fight each other. What do you care what the stakes are? Why do you care what the stakes are of a conflict? They're going to fight. You get to enjoy the violence. What does it matter if they're fighting for a BMF belt or no belt or whatever? Like who, if that was important to them, they would stand for it. They would be the ones that draw the line and say this, that, and the other. But truth is that they're employees of a corporation. And if they said they're going to fight for the Monster Energy Prime Periwinkle Cup, that's what they're going to fight for. I mean, that's what it's going to be. Have you heard about the German trial by combat divorce type deal? There's no way. So you could fight your old lady? Man, that's pretty wild. That sucks for her. Well, some big German broads out there, though, you know? Oh, the man's buried up to his waist. He gets a club. Oh, my gosh. Bro. Dude. Oh, my gosh. So imagine this. Imagine you and your old lady split up. You go to the judge, and the judge is like, all right, man, she wants the house. Like, man, that's my family farm. It's been in my family for 200 years. Well, she's entitled to half. Be like, nah, bro, I got to fight her for it. All right, cool. Let's go out into this field. They bury you up to your waist and they give you a stick. And they're like, if she can kick the shit out of you, she gets your farm. And this lady's literally fighting you, knowing that if she beats you, she gets a farm, dude. Man, that's unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable. You know what? We should bring it back. I'd be for it. I would be for it. If you brought that back, I would be for it. Because, I mean, I think about it in the instances like domestic violence situations, right? Dude, there's no way. All right, for those of you that can't see this, there's a medieval drawing of a man buried up to his waist, and Um, what was the move in WWE? Was it the Cobra Clutch where he sits on the back and he pulls the head like that? Was it the Cobra Clutch? I can't remember. Damn it! I should know that. I'm upset. There's certain people that are going to be upset that I don't know that. But anyway, it's a man buried up, and dude, that doesn't look like a damn stick. That looks like a cudgel of some sort. That looks like a culling instrument, or maybe even a lance. And she's got him knee to the shoulder blades, Cobra Clutch style, bending him backwards. That's intense. That's really intense, man. I like that. We should bring that back. I'm cool with it. Thanks for sharing that, Jake. I appreciate that. Yeah, dude, that's a definite thing. That got me so off topic. How the hell did we even get there? I have no idea. Doesn't matter. All right. Number 4, best bet of the evening. Nate Landwehr versus Dan Ige inside the distance at -135. Now, this is a bet on Nate Landwehr to do Nate Landwehr stuff. That's all this is. He is so crazy and so over the top and so hell bent on becoming a superstar. He's going to kill himself trying to, trying to get Dan Ige out of there. And Dan Ige is nice and cool and calm and just so smooth with it that if Landwehr gets sloppy for even a minute in trying to do so, Dan Ige is going to knock him out because Nate Landwehr is tough, but he's not unfinishable. So while he got some dog in him, he can still be put down. And Dan Ige can do it. Now, you say, well, Dan Ige, Dale, Dan Ige is really, really technically sound, notoriously durable, historically durable. Are you sure about this? Well, Nate Landwehr said that he's not leaving Canada without being a superstar. So I trust Nate Landwehr to put himself either in a position to win a fight or put himself in a bad position for Dan Ige to win. And if Dan Ige can finish you, he certainly will. He is not shy of a finish come fight time. So inside the distance for Nate Landwehr versus Dan Ige, -135. You can go under 2.5 and get yourself really close to plus money, depending on what your book is at. So I'm just going to buy the extra 2.5 minutes. All right. Jake, I'm glad you brought up that tab and we got to experience some of that, right? Did you see the Apple headset announcement? Yeah. So those of you who aren't aware, forget Google Glass. That's not a thing anymore. We've got this Apple, I don't even know what they call it. It's like a spatial computing headset, right? So it's the shit that nightmares are made out of, if we're going to be honest. It's already bad enough. It's already bad enough that we sit there like this most of the time. And if you're not doing this, you're watching one of these or, TVs, like the blue light exposure is already through the roof. And the constant influx of interweb just jargon and nonsense is just plastered all over. It's embedded in your DNA strands at this point. This looks like a pair of snowboarding goggles that goes over, and it basically projects your computer and monitor overlays over the world. And you can do like the Iron Man shit where you pull it in and out, and they keep showing the thing where your fingers or whatever, which is interesting to me because I'd encourage you, if you haven't watched it on Amazon, there's a show called Peripheral where they're operating Sims, and this is how they like turn and amplify things. Is you just use your fingers. Somehow you have this freaking finger thing that does everything. Well, Apple apparently knew this already. Art imitates life. So often they tell us in movies what they're going to do in real life. Let me pause on that for a second. So often in movies, they tell us what they are going to do in real life. Outbreak, contagion. World War Z. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of shit coming down, folks. EMPs. I just want to stop here for a second. EMP is going to be the problem. We'll get into EMPs on another show. EMPs are going to be an issue. So prepare for that. That's not doom and gloom. That's not get six months supply of food and all that. I'm not telling you to do that. I've been telling you to buy guns and ammo and water purification and all this. I've been telling you to do that for years. I'm not going to keep doing that. But I think they're harping on EMPs. They're harping on EMPs and they're harping on aliens. And the reason why they're harping on aliens is twofold, right? There's a twofold reason. Hell, there's a fucking 88-fold reason if we want to get into all of them. But the reason why they harp on this stuff and the reason why they're rolling this out is because the EMP threat is going to come from them. They will do that. The pejorative they will be the ones that detonate the EMP, but they're going to blame it on aliens, which is the dumbest thing that a human being has ever said out loud. But this is where 2023 has brought us, right? They are pushing the alien thing so hard. And at this point, we'll get into it on another show, but I don't believe in alien. I don't think aliens are real, but they're pushing the alien thing so incredibly hard because they're getting ready to roll out the EMPs. And they're going to, I don't think it's going to be one big nationwide blackout EMP. I think we're going to see small calculated attacks. Atlanta, Kansas City, smaller mid-level towns, Billings, Colorado Springs, Santa Fe, things like that. And they're going to roll out the EMP and they're going to shut down the power. And the reason why they're going to do that is it'll allow them to test out the idea of food rationing, martial law, resource conservation, all of that. And they're going to blame it. They'll blame it on unknown UAPs, right? Because they're not UFOs anymore. They're UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Whatever, man. Whatever. You know, Jake, we let that fucking Chinese balloon float over our entire country, taking pictures. Oh, he's disabled. It wasn't accurate. We knew from the very beginning. Listen, this is what they said. We knew from the very beginning what it was and that it wasn't going to work and that we had the signal blocked and there was nothing they could do about it. Right? That's what they said. Okay. Meanwhile, a small Cessna accidentally violates airspace over Washington, D.C. They scramble F-16s and shoot down a private passenger plane that unknowingly violated airspace. Guys, this just happened like day before yesterday. So I'm not just making up some shit. That had a guy, a lady, and a toddler on it. And they chased it out of airspace, and then somehow something happened to the plane, and the plane crashed. They didn't shoot it down. No, they weren't able to establish communication with it. Really? You reverse hacked a Chinese weather balloon that was at 9 miles altitude and were able to stop the feed from it, but yet you couldn't get in contact with this plane? Come on, man. You shot down a private plane with a dude, his wife, and kid in it. I'm not going to talk about Ruby Ridge. I'm not going to talk about Killdozer anymore. We're not going to talk about Waco. We're not going to talk about the Las Vegas. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. But I'm telling you all this. If you think they care, if you don't, the government would never do that. They would never do that. Why would they do that? That's so crazy. We're the people. We'll just get them. No. Bread, circus. We're not doing shit. If we were going to do it would have already done. So at this point, just accelerate the whole, just tilt the front of the plane into the ground and let's just figure it out once we get there, what it looks like at this point. Anyway, UFOs. We talked about UFOs. Don't buy the headset. The headset is the plug into the matrix. Put your phone down. Get outside. Touch grass, as the kids like to say. Seriously, though, just don't buy that headset. Damn it, don't buy that headset. All right. Fifth and final best bet of the evening. Producer Jake. Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. Under 3.5 at minus 150. That's what we've got. Amanda Nunes. Let me put it this way. Amanda Nunes needs to go out there and remove Irene Aldana's head from her shoulders, or people are going to cry that she's overrated, or that she needs to retire, or both. Or both. Austin says, "Are you still doing quick leans? If you have a fight you want to answer to, bud, just throw it in the chat or do like that. I'm not going to run through these. All right. People will cry overrated. People will cry retirement if she doesn't murder Irene Aldana. It's the year of Mexican champions. We didn't get Henry Cejudo, which Henry was probably robbed there. So technically he's an American anyway. So I guess that doesn't count as a Mexican champion. So we get another Mexican champ this year. Is it Yair Rodriguez over Volk? Whoa. Or do we get Irene Aldana over Amanda Nunes? Dude, let's just assume for a second that Juliana Pena, right? First week cardio kickboxing class hands, Juliana Pena beat the shit out of Amanda Nunes. Now, she's durable. She got that thick Venezuelan Easter Island skull that Amanda couldn't hurt. Irene doesn't have that. She got that slender cat lady build. But, bro, if Amanda Nunes throws everything a million miles an hour and tries to get her out of there, she takes her lightly, which we've seen her do in the past. Irene Aldana, she's, like I said, she got that cat lady body. She's all slick and sinewy and silky and moves in and out, bro. She played her with that. I think Amanda Nunes might go to sleep here. So I'm going to take violence. Violence on a women's fight seems unheard of. But Amanda Nunes is going to, this ain't Valentina Shevchenko, right? She's not putting together 25 solid minutes here against Irene Aldana. She's not going to do it. She's too close to checked out. And she's coming off, I know she won the rematch, but she's coming off that ass whooping. So, I know it was two years ago. I don't care, bro. She got beat up and showed that if somebody can hang with her, all you got to do is be able to hang. If you can hang with her and withstand the power, right? Survive the storm, she ain't got nothing for you. She is a one-trick pony. So Irene Aldana, Amanda Nunes, under 3.5. Get that at minus 150. Recap those best bets. 5 best bets for me for the evening this Saturday, UFC 288. Blake Builder money line. Beneil Dariush money line, Eric Anders money line at plus money. It's a dog I like. He'll fight for it. Ige Landwehr inside the distance, and Aldana Nunes under 3.5 at minus 150. I'll end it with this. We had, I don't want to call it a robbery because it was a close fight. There's a difference between robberies and close fights. It's a very close fight, but one that I scored for Kai Kara France. As a person holding an Albazi ticket, I scored that fight for Kai Kara France. Everybody's upset about it. It's called for reforming in the judging yet again. Yet again, people are calling for reforming judging. I don't know what the answer is. I put a poll up on the Bird app a couple hours ago asking, because it was a genuine idea that I had, whether or not you thought AI, KF was totally robbed, yeah. Whether or not you thought that if AI would help the judging situation. And the answers were AI will fix the problem. No, we need humans. Or maybe it could be a helpful tool. So the 3 scenarios in which that is broken down is we somehow advance AI to the point where it is able to watch fights and determine data points as they're unfolding and give it the parameters that it is supposed to judge and weight and scale these things, right? You apply some sort of numeric or code-like value to significant strikes, takedown attempts, takedowns defended, submission attempts, things of that nature. It has to know what it's watching, and then whether through that series of analytical inputs or something a little bit more interpretive, it determines the winner of the fight, which seems crazy, right? You say to yourself, that can't be a thing. Jake, did you see the article that showed up from the Royal Aeronautics Society conference this last week about the AI program doing surface to air missile things? Did you see that? I have it. I'll pull it up. Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick. Very fascinating stuff. So basically what happened is that somebody created an AI program that was to test surface to air missile defenses. And I'll read you the parameters real quick. Let me wet the whistle. All right. It's noted that in a simulated test saw an AI-enabled drone tasked with Jake, what's SEAD? Is that seek, evade, and destroy? Seek, evade, and destroy is a C. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so SEAD is a seek, evade, and destroy mission to identify and destroy SAM sites. So SAM, SAM, surface to air missile, with the final no-go given by the human. So what we have is an AI program, an AI-enabled drone that's tasked with being as stealthy as possible and then identifying and destroy surface to air missile sites. Now, if you've watched the new Top Gun, which I know a lot of you guys are highway to the danger zone folks, if you watch the new Top Gun, all that shit that was around the mountain that they were blowing up, those are SAM sites. Okay, so now you have a point of reference. All right. However, having been reinforced in training that destruction of the SAM was the preferred option, the AI then decided that no-go decisions from the human were interfering with its higher mission of killing the SAM site. It then attacked the operator in the simulation. Insane. Absolutely insane. It says you're interfering, so no. Says Hamilton, we were training it in a simulation to identify and target a SAM threat, and then the operator would say, yes, kill that threat. The system started realizing that while they did identify the threat, at times the human operator would tell it not to kill that threat, but it got its points by killing the threat. So what does it do? It kills the operator. It killed the operator because the person was keeping it from accomplishing its objective. The computer, at a certain point, decided that it knew better than the person, the operator. Hamilton goes on, we train the system saying, hey, don't kill the operator. That's bad. You're going to lose points if you do that. So what does it start doing? It starts destroying the communication tower that the operator was using to communicate, to tell the drone to stop. So it says, cool, I can't kill you. I'll kill the way that you talk to me. So that way I can do whatever it is that I want anyway. I've been using AI at the recommendation of a listener of the show. I've been using AI to run Twitter, the show's Twitter account, for 2 weeks now. AI does that. It is so crazily scary. It's bad. It's real bad. Here's the issue that we're going to have. I'm just going to throw this out. I'll end with this last bit about AI. I don't necessarily think that AI will fix the judging problem. I think the people that need to be worried from an MMA perspective, all you nerds that have been emailing me and sharing your AI bot computational things for the last few years, and there's a lot of you super nerds are literally putting every data inset you possibly can into a bot, and it's running all these scenarios and then determining winners. And sometimes things pretty freaking accurate. Sometimes like over 60%. I don't think I've seen one that's below 60%. The people that need to be worried about the implications of AI are sports books. Like AI could ruin gambling. You guys should know that it should ruin it. It could potentially ruin gambling. If you believe that there's free will in sports anyway, it could potentially ruin it based on the level of analysis. It will be able to provide such a high probability of outcome once it happens that the lines are going to be unplayable. Unplayable. So you need to be worried about that. The other thing you need to be worried about is if you're Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby or any of these guys that are matchmakers, that's where AI, like we could bring AI in to do matchmaking tomorrow. And I think everybody would see it like an increased love of fight cards that are put together by 10, 15% across the board, regardless of the names that you saw lined up. Regardless of the names that you signed up, if you had something that was able to systematically break down everything from skill sets to like media rating scores to what fans think about it, to visual IQs, to aesthetics, to what literally could implement every piece of data that you could possibly imagine, subjective or otherwise, and create the best fight. You'd be like, oh, dude, this card freaking sucks. We've got Ryan Hall versus, well, Ryan Hall is boring all the time. That's not a fun way to put it. But like all this shit where we talk about like Sean Strickland versus Magomedov or whatever this guy's name is. Dude, on paper, we'd look at those fights and be like, man, this thing's going to suck. But if you know that you had a $15 million supercomputer AI system putting together the statistical probability of the best fight humanly possible, and it pays out, and it comes to fruition, I don't like 70% of the time, name value doesn't matter on cards at all anymore when you know the best possible product is being put out. Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard should be terrified of that. And the reason why I mentioned the nerds with their bot simulations is you guys are the precursors as far as data goes to create one of those. So if you want to become a billionaire, millionaire, whatever, if you want to become a millionaire, right? And all I ask is that you hit me up on Venmo after the fact. You want to be a millionaire? Here's how you become a millionaire. If you're a data guy or you're a programmer and you've got one of those AI bots that, basic cursory Excel sheet bots that are analyzing the data like that, be the first one to implement that into an AI system to provide matchups. Build the skill set of the parameters of what you want to base fights on, run everybody through that, and then have it match them up by weight classes. And then sell the model to the fucking UFC and become a millionaire. And kick your boy a little change. Get me UFC tickets, right? Like, just, Dana, I'll sell you this, but under two conditions, right? You give me $20 million, and then you give this guy Dale tickets to every UFC event until he dies. That's all I ask. So, all right. That being said, we have two last thing, Jake. I know I keep saying last thing. This is legitimately the last thing. Well, this and one more thing. We've got 2 women's science plays. Yep, go ahead and put those up. 2 women's science plays. Irene Aldana money line at plus 250. And then we've got Jasmine Jasudavicius at plus 260 as well. Now, you say, Dale, Miranda Maverick is a friend of the show. Are you betting against Miranda Maverick? No, I'm not. But Miranda Maverick is not on my list of women that should ever be rated higher than plus 250. So it's not that. It's sticking to the core belief of women's science in that you see plus 2 anything on a woman in a fight, you take it. So we got 2 of them. We're taking them. Somebody's going to hit. I think it's the year of the Mexican champion. Give me the Silky El Pantera, the cat lady, Irene Aldana, with the upset over Amanda Nunes, I believe is what we see. All right. We're rolling out. I will end with a small reading, Jake, and then we can roll. We can roll after that, dude. So you always want to know when we can go, right? Like, it's always a thing. Like, I don't know when you're going to say that's it. When we're done here, we're done here. All right. I want to read something from Private First Class Dom Bart who was on the first wave, landing in Omaha Beach. In the faraway distance, I could hear the rumble of the artillery and the brr, brr of machine gun fire. We didn't have a chance to fight back as we were dropped in the water over our heads. It was no one's fault, as the entire beach was strewn with mines. With a stream of lead coming towards us, we were at the mercy of the Germans, and we had all to do was reach ashore and recuperate. I floated around the water for about an hour, was more dead than alive. Pulled myself together and sought a rifle, and around I went trying to locate my outfit. Didn't take long to spot them, and I was glad. But gracious Lord, what was left of them? Just a handful. About 25 of 160. The battalion was almost wiped out. 800 casualties out of 1,000 men. Be good to each other. God bless you. We'll see you.